Hello friends, welcome to this week's Edgemont Sermon Extra. I'm Pastor Henry. I'm so glad that you have joined us for this extra little look into this past week's sermon. This past Sunday, we talked about All Saints Day, the day where we, as a church, remember those who've gone on before, both those who we lost in the last year, paying special attention to them, but then also remembering all of those who've gone on before. We remember them, and we do our best to remember them well. And a service where everyone is mentioned is a good way to do that. But another great way to remember people, as well as to strengthen our faith, is to tell stories. To literally remember the people through stories and sharing that with each other, with our brothers and sisters in Christ. I read Hebrews chapter 12 verses 1 through 3 in that service. I want to share a little bit more of that, or not a little bit more, share part of that again. The author of Hebrews says in verse 1 and then into verse 2, "Therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles. And let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us, fixing our eyes on Jesus, the pioneer and perfecter of our faith." Now, have you ever thought about where that such a great cloud of witnesses comes from? Flip back a chapter. Go to Hebrews chapter 11, which a lot of us know as the roll call of faith. It starts out with telling us what faith is. Faith is the evidence of things hoped for, the proof of things not seen. Depending on your translation, you'll get a little bit different of that. And then it goes through sharing the stories of different saints of the faith. Abel, Abraham, Moses, Enoch, and on for a long time. It shares, you hear my dog playing in the leaves in the background, sorry about that. And on, sharing all these different people, as many as the author had the space for. Think about that. How did, the author sharing these stories, how did the author know? Well, someone shared these stories with them. While a lot of this was being written down at this time, so much of culture, of history, was translated orally. And so these saints would learn these passages by telling them to one another, and they would be passed down and down and down. So for us today, as we are remembering our saints, both those in our church, maybe those in our family, those who have strengthened us, we need to take time to tell the story. Tell their story. Tell our memories. Tell the things that made us laugh, things that make us smile, sometimes even the things that will make us cry a little bit. But it's these stories that have shaped us, and our telling of them builds the faith of those around us, builds the faith of the next generation, and makes us all part of this wonderful legacy that you could really say it was started by the folks in this roll call of faith of Hebrews chapter 11. So after this video, after you finish watching this, take a little bit of time. Think about maybe one or two special people that have influenced you in the faith, and then tell their story. Tell them to your spouse, tell them to a friend, tell that to your parents or your children. Share those stories, because as we share those stories, we will all be built up better to be able to live out the gospel and run this race we've been called to. Thank you for popping in, and we'll see you next time.